Hi, and welcome to the BookishStitcher podcast. My name is Jeanette. You can find me on Ravelry, Instagram, and Goodreads as BookishStitcher, all one word. I hope you've had a great week since I last podcasted. We've had a bit of a rough one. I'll just talk about it really briefly because, I know you guys are here for knitting and books, so I don't want to go into it too much. But it's been up and down. My son started school, so that was really wonderful. He is enjoying it. He's slowly making new friends, and he loves all the art and different stuff like that. And then Wednesday morning, we had a bit of sad news. My husband's grandfather, who has been for about the last year kind of going downhill, having several heart issues, he passed away early Wednesday morning. And it was very sad, but he had a wonderful life. He was an amazing man, and I only got to meet him a few times, but every time I did, he was the most welcoming and kind, and just, you never felt anything but comfortable to be in his presence. And he had a wonderful life. He lived till he was 91. He was married for almost 65 years to his wife, and he got to do so many amazing things with his life. He served in World War II, and he's just a brilliant and gifted man, and he had a wonderful family, obviously. So we're all a little bit sad here this week. And then on Friday, my son, was feeling a little bit down from the week, and because he didn't get to see his super papa, that's what you call a great-grandfather, too much because he lives in their family, he and his wife lived in Seattle, and his wife still lives there. And so we didn't get to see them too much, but my son was feeling kind of sad. So Friday night, he and I went to a mother-son movie date, and it was a movie in the park where they have one of those giant blow-up screens, and they project the movie onto it. And the movie was Never Ending Story, which is one of my favorite from my childhood. If you were born mid-'80s, you probably know that movie, or if you have kids around that time. It was a really great movie, and it was his very first time seeing it, so it was wonderful getting to experience it for the first time through his eyes. It was magical, and the weather was perfect for it. I was really nervous that it was going to be too hot, but it was wonderful, and there was a great breeze, and it's really good to get to spend some one-on-one time with him. And then Saturday I went up to Austin, drove from San Antonio to Austin to go see some knit friends, and I got to see Heidi, who's Knitty Girl 1, and Shanita and Dina, and they're Climber Chick and Shanita on Ravelry, and it was wonderful to see them and just have some time surrounded by friends, and knitting is really what I needed after this week, and I had a great time, and we went to a yarn store. That was fun. But I will show you what I finished this week while I was working on, also my big work project launched this week. I might talk about that at the end of the episode if anybody cares to know. So my son started school, and I wanted something that I could work on in the car that was really quick and easy, and I last year for all my mom friends made them all hand knit socks. So this year I'm going for something a little bit simpler, and I decided that I'm going to knit them all washcloths, and these are perfect for in the car. And I also knit this during the outside movie. This is the first washcloth done, and it's some cotton supreme, and I love the fun happy colors of this, so all the speckles and everything. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to knit these up into little bundles, probably 2 or 3, however many I can get out of a skein, and just wrap them up and then get a little handmade soap and tie them with a ribbon and give them as Christmas presents to my friends. So that is one done. And then the next thing I finished this week is the cowl for my best friend, and it is the Biscuit Cowl by Bonnie Sinnott, I believe. And this is what it looks like. You see, it's really pretty. It has not been blocked yet. I didn't get around to it this week, but it's the lace pattern. It has baubles going around it, and it's probably wide enough to where you could double it, but I doubt she will. That's not really her style. She'll probably just leave it open hanging. There's that. And the colorway is, the yarn is Spirit Trail Fiberworks, and the colorway is Sandcastles, which makes me think of her because she loves to go to the beach anytime it can get away. She's off to the beach with her family. And that is all of my finished objects for this week. My works in progress. I have a kind of weird thing to show you because I know that I said I was going to cast on all the things last week, but that didn't happen, you know, with all the stuff that was going on. And some other stuff got put aside because one thing I'll show you in a minute. But I wanted to show you this because this got quite a bit of, sorry, my nose is itchy, got a lot of work done on it early this week. And this is in my Casey Pockets to Go bag, and it's K, the letters K and C. And this is my Nature's Lace Shawl by Susan Ashcroft. It's out of some Vice yarns. I had to take it out of the ball band because it was just, I've used up so much of it that it's starting to, just rumor has it. This is what's left. You can kind of see this gaping hole, and it's very cushy. And last week when I showed this, I had just finished the gray part, which is that. And then, as you can see, this blue in this is so beautiful. I absolutely love it. I would love a sweater knit out of this blue. And then it transitions into a green, if you can kind of see, it's just barely, and then it goes into this gold. And of course, since the shawl is getting longer and longer, there's a lot of the gray, a lot of the blue, and then a little less of the subsequent or the next colors in line. And this is all done except for the lace, so the border, and I'm putting it aside for a while because of what you'll see that I'm working on my other projects. And then the next thing I had, last week I had finished off my daughter's starboard, and I had said that I wanted to knit her winter wardrobe. So I started her next sweater for her winter wardrobe earlier this week. And this is in my Freckled Whimsy bag, and it probably won't be in here much longer because it's really too big. The project is for it, so I'm going to switch it back over to my On the Dock knits bag. But I'm knitting this out of some Cascade Superwash 220. You see that. And then it's in the color number 1910. And this is the Petite Isle of Hope, and I'm not quite sure who that is by, but this is the back, and it's really neatly done because it's a little girl sweater. The back has this lattice stitch, and then it has 3/4 length sleeves, and then the front, and then little pockets, which I believe are also done in the lattice stitch. So this will be nice for spring and fall here because it has that open part, so it won't be too hot for her. And maybe even winter because in Texas it doesn't get that cold, and she can just put a little tank top underneath it. I'm knitting a 4T, so it looks pretty big, but it's done in pieces, so it'll be taken in a bit. But I'm knitting the 4T, so it'll hopefully fit her for a while. And the next thing I have is something brand new. And this, as soon as I, heard about my husband's grandfather dying, and I'm pretty sure we're planning on going up to Seattle in September when the memorial service is, because they're having it a little bit farther out so that more family and more people can attend, people that they would really like to be able to come. And so I'm pretty sure that we're going 95%. As soon as I found that out, I really wanted to knit his grandmother something because I don't know about you, but when I'm stressed, I definitely knit. It's kind of my comfort. And I wanted to give her something to just kind of envelop her in love and softness and just something lovely that she could have. So I stopped knitting on everything else Thursday evening, and I started knitting the Aisling shawl for her, and I'm using some of the nicest yarn I have in my stash, which is this Skein, and it's a yarn done in Australia, and it's like knitting with a cloud. It's really one of the softest yarns I've ever held, and it's a 80% merino, 20% cashmere, and I'm knitting it in two colors, which is the damask and rustic. And I wanted two colors because I wanted a very large shawl that she could just wrap all the way around her. And I went and did the advanced pattern browser on Ravelry, which is one of my favorite things about Ravelry, and I wanted something very dainty and feminine because I knew she wouldn't like any of the more modular or modern designs. I knew that wouldn't be for her. And I just wanted something very beautiful, and I wanted it to be two colors because I didn't have enough of any one color to do. So the Aisling Shawl by Justina Lorkowski, I believe. And I've gotten a lot done because, like I said, I stopped doing anything else. The pink is the damask, and then the brown is the rustic. So I just started this almost 3 days ago. Tonight it'll be 3 days ago. And this yarn, like I said, is extremely soft. It's the nicest yarn I've ever worked with, just for how it feels when it's knit up. It's very soft, and so I really hope she'll love it. I have knit her things before, like washcloths, but I've never knit her a shawl, so hopefully she'll like it. And I think it's very beautiful. The shawl is gorgeous. And this is going to be what I'm knitting on until it gets done. It's going to be a bit of a time crunch. I have no worry about the body of the shawl. This will get done this week. It will be easy for me because it's just little bits of knitting and stuff like that. But there is an applied lace and cable maybe too. I don't know if it has cables, but there is an applied border along the edge, and it has a very intricate, beautiful pattern. But I cannot do that when I'm in work conference calls, when I'm watching shows with my kids, when I'm at knit night or anything like that. I won't be able to do that. I will have to have set aside time where it's uninterrupted, which, it's hard when you have little ones. Or even my fur baby, my cats, they don't like me to have uninterrupted time either. So it'll be a push to get the edging done on that, but I really want to have it in time for the memorial, and I really want to give that to her. So I'm going to push myself and try to finish that. And that is in my bag that I use for all my two-color shawls. It's the best bag that I've ever had for two-color shawls, and it is the Diana Couture bag. And it's like that. It snaps down. You can kind of see that they snap. And the yarns, the cakes, just sit next to each other in here, and then the yarn can go through here. So if you're doing stripes or any kind of color work with two colors, and there are tons of pockets inside. I had this at Knitting in Austin yesterday, and everyone there thought this bag was amazing, and they were asking about it and wanted to go get one. So if you knit a lot of two-color things or color work or anything like that, these bags are amazing for that. And that's all of my knitting. I do have a spinning thing to show you. This isn't something I spun this week because I didn't do much spinning this week, just a little bit, and there won't probably be any till I finish that shawl. But this is something from Tour de Fleece that I still hadn't shown you. And this is an amazing, I love it. It's Cloud Lover, and you kind of see it's the Cornucopia colorway, so it's very autumnal, and I love that. I was trying to get the yarn to not poof up, and so it's a little bit overspun in parts, but it didn't poof up too much. It's almost a true fingering, and I got 420 yards of a 2-ply, which is not something I have ever done before. I just really love the colors. The braids started out as purple and browns and orange and white, and then the white kind of muted everything down to this gorgeous yarn. And I really am looking forward to getting to spin with my hand spun when I'm done with Christmas and stuff like that. I have a sip. I have some chai tea with just a little bit of milk in it, soy milk. And then that was spinning. Next, for enabling, I'm still showing my SSK stuff. I did get at, we went to, when I was Saturday visiting friends, we went to Gauge, which is a yarn store in Austin that I hadn't been to in 4 or 5 years, since, I believe since they opened, and I went on a yarn crawl around. That was like the Texas yarn crawl or something like that. But I went on that and I saw that store, and it's changed a lot since I last had visited, and it now has a ton of indie dyed yarn and fiber and everything. So I got some stuff there, but I didn't bring it down to show you because I want to finish up showing SSK stuff, and I'm almost done with that because I only got 8 skeins of yarn at SSK, and I think I've shown about half so far. But I did get some braids of fiber and some yarn. I went in for just needles and then I got more. But Dina spins on Instagram, and Climber Girl on Ravelry. She is heading up a Spinzilla team for one of a different local yarn store, kind of local. But and I believe it's the Happy You, and she was asking if I would like to be on the Spinzilla team, so I'm really excited, but I don't have a lot of braids of fiber, so I got some more at that yarn store so that I could have enough for Spinzilla when it rolls around, which is in October, I believe. But my enabling for this week is some more that I got from SSK, and it is yarn that I'd heard about for forever, but I had never gotten to try. If you can hear that noise, my ice maker is deciding to make ice right now. But I'd never gotten to try this yarn, and when I found out she was going to be vending at SSK, I was really excited. And I had originally planned to get 3 colors for a 3-color shawl, but I couldn't afford it. So this is Sun Valley Fibers. You can see that there. And this is a bright, bright orange. It's not showing up correctly. No. And then this is a teal, and it's poolside and Geum, not sure how to say that, Geum. And it is her 80-10-10 merino cashmere nylon. There's 400 yards per skein. So this will be another 2-color shawl because I love 2-color shawls. And the yarn I got at Gauge was for another 2-color shawl. But I'm really liking the big shawls that just wrap around you. So it's almost the last of the SSK yarn. Next week will be the last of my SSK purchase because I've just been showing 2 a week, and like I said, I got 8 skeins. So it's exciting to have all that beautiful yarn, and I'm excited to work with it. Group news. We have a group for the podcast on Ravelry, and there's a little ones Cal going on right now, which is Knit Anything for a Little One, kids, for babies, charity, anything like that. And I am knitting that sweater for my daughter. It's going to kind of go on hold until probably when I'm having to knit the applied lace and I can no longer have a project just to carry around with me. I will pick my daughter's sweater back up sometime this week. But please join in on that. I'd love to have you and chat along. I'm sorry on the Ravelry boards and Instagram. I took, when we got the news about my husband's grandfather, I took a couple days, and I did not go on any social media. So I'm really behind on posts and messages, and I'm really sorry. I'm not intentionally ignoring anybody. I just kind of needed a couple days to just be in my own head and kind of think about stuff, and just kind of sad, so I didn't want to reply on anything. I was just off of everything. So I will get caught back up with all that, and please just be patient with me as I do. I'm really not trying to ignore anybody. But that's all the group news for that. I am excited because Stitches at Texas is coming up soon, and I hope to get a prize for you guys at Stitches, Texas, and I'll put a thread up for that when that rolls around, but that's middle September, so it'll be a little while. I really hope you can't hear the ice maker as loud as I can because it's really loud. I'm sorry. So on to the book for this week. The book this week is an author that I cannot believe I haven't reviewed yet because I spent about a summer in my late 20s reading this author. I got introduced to him and I just fell in love with his wit and his dark humor and his satire, and you might be able to guess who it is now. But I can't believe I haven't reviewed one of his books, and so I decided to review the first one of his that I ever read, and this is Breakfast of Champions by Kurt Vonnegut. And Kurt Vonnegut is another author, kind of like Ayn Rand, that people either love or hate him, and I believe the vast majority hate him. He presents very serious things, like, I'll read the back in a second, but he presents very serious political issues, but he does it in such a way with such humor and dark humor, and he's so sarcastic about everything, that you can read about these very serious issues and not walk away feeling extremely dark and depressed. And I read this book in about an afternoon. I couldn't put it down. It's an extremely quick read. I know he's very famous for his Slaughterhouse-Five book, and that one I kind of started reading, but I didn't enjoy it as much. But it's very interesting. Vonnegut did a lot of drawings in his works, and this one had tons and tons of drawings in it. Like, Goodbye, Blue Monday. And it's very quick, and if you have never read, so, if you're looking to try out Vonnegut and you've been intimidated, maybe don't be. He writes it in the perspective of, I believe, that the world has kind of ended and you're looking back on this thing. A dinosaur was a reptile as big as a choo-choo train. It looked like this. It had two brains, one for its front end and one for its rear end. It was extinct. Both brains combined were smaller than a pea. A pea was a legume, which looked like this. So it's very funny. But the whole idea behind the book is that there is this author, and his name is Kilgore Trout, and Kilgore Trout is a writer, and he finds, I'll just read the back, finds to his horror that a Midwest car dealer is taking his fiction as truth. The result is murderously funny satire as Vonnegut looks at war, sex, racism, success, and politics and pollution in America and reminds us how to see the truth. So Vonnegut is an author that I really enjoy, and I haven't read all of his works. I've read a whole bunch of his short stories, but I have most of his works up in our library, and I just need to get around to them. I kind of have to be in the mood for Vonnegut. If you've never read him and you get offended easily, don't read him. His writing is meant to offend, but it's also done in such a funny way that I couldn't really get upset by it. It does have cussing and bad words and stuff in it, so if that bothers you, don't read it either. And it's funny because he was born in Indianapolis, Indiana, and my husband's family is from Indiana, and I've never gotten to go and see Vonnegut's house. I would love to get to do that sometime. It's just never happened. So maybe sometime when I'm up there for Christmas, I can get to go see Vonnegut's house, because we go up there sometimes. But it's Breakfast of Champions by Kurt Vonnegut. And I think that's all I have for this week. I know it's another shorter episode, but I, didn't have as many works in progress to show. I normally have one or two more, like 4 projects. But since I stopped everything else, I stopped working on my husband's socks, I stopped working on my sweater, and I put those all aside so I could just, work on this shawl. Tea is, yeah. But I put everything else aside so that I could just work on the shawl. And that's probably going to be how it is next week too, is I won't have as much to show. But since I won't have as much to show, I have a little surprise for you all next week, and my little surprise is extremely excited. My son is going to be on the podcast again next week. He's almost finished with his enormously huge scarf that every time he knits on it, it's taller. He asks his sister, come see, look, it's taller than you. Look, it's taller than me. Is it taller than mommy? Is it taller than daddy? So that's how we're gauging the height of the scarf, not in actual inches or feet, but in height of people. And so he's almost done with that. And then the next thing he has to knit that he wants to do is a scarf and another scarf. And I actually gave him this giant skein of yarn. It's red and blue that I won at the DW Fiber Fest event, because I just thought that it looked like his colors and he would love knitting with it, and he thinks it's a pillow and he absolutely is so excited to knit it. And then earlier today when I was working on my husband's grandmother's shawl, my son was sitting knitting with me, and I was watching Knitting Samurai, who I've been watching for forever and love her. And she had just finished a giant barn raising square blanket, and my son was so impressed by it that he now wants his next project to be a barn raising square blanket. So that will be fun to see his knitting evolve and what he wants to knit, and I'm really excited. And he's going to come on next week and show you hopefully a finished scarf, and then a work in progress scarf, all the scarves. And he's also going to be doing the book review next week, so I won't have to have a book done for you guys. He'll have one, and we got several books from the library, so I'm excited to see which one he will choose to review. He has a favorite series right now, but I'm going to try to persuade him to review this other book that I'm really interested for him to share with you guys, because it's one of my favorite children's authors. That's everything, and I hope to see you guys next week. And I hope you have a wonderful week and that you get to do all the things you love. Okay, bye.